Join me today as we explore the world of Ponyboy as he embarks on an unexpected and life-changing journey of the Greasers and Socs. Here's a partial first chapter read of S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders. When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only two things on my mind: Paul Newman and a ride home. I was wishing I looked like Paul Newman because he looks tough, and I don't, but I guess my own looks aren't so bad. I have light brown, almost red hair and greenish gray eyes. I wish they were more gray because I hate most guys that have green eyes, but I have to be content with what I have. My hair is longer than a lot of boys wears theirs, squared off in the back and long at the front and sides, but I'm a greaser, and most of my neighborhood rarely bothers to get a haircut. Besides, I look better with long hair. I had a long walk home and no company, but I usually loan it anyway, for no reason except that I like to watch movies undisturbed so I can get into them and live them with the actors. When I see a movie with someone, it's kind of uncomfortable, like having someone read your book over your shoulder. I'm different that way. I mean, my second oldest brother, Soda, who's 16 going on 17, never cracks a book at all. And my oldest brother, Daryl, who we call Derry, which works too long and hard to be interested in a story or drawing a picture. So I'm not like him. And nobody in our gang digs movies and books the way I do. For a while there, I thought I was the only person in the world that did. So I loaned it. Soda tries to understand at least, which is more than Derry does. But then Soda, he's different from anybody. He understands everything, almost. Like he's never hollering at me all the time the way Derry is, or treating me as if I was 6 instead of 14. I love Soda more than I ever loved anyone. Even Mom and Dad, he's always happy-go-lucky and grinning, while Derry is hard and firm and rarely grins at all. But then Derry's gone through a lot in his 20 years, grown up too fast. Soda Pop will never grow up at all. I don't know which way is best. I'll find out one of these days. Anyway, I went on walking home, thinking about the movie, and then suddenly I wished I had some company. Greasers can't walk alone too much or they'll get jumped, or someone will come by and scream "Greaser" at them, which doesn't make you feel too hot, if you know what I mean. We get jumped by the Socs. I'm not sure how you spell that, but it's an abbreviation for the socials, the jet set, the West Side rich kids. It's like the term greaser, which is used to class all us boys from the East Side. We're poorer than the Socs and the middle class. I reckon we're wilder, too. Not like the Socs who jump greasers and wreck houses and throw beer blasts for kicks and get editorials in the paper for being a public disgrace one day and an asset to society the next. Greasers are almost like hoods. We steal things and drive old souped-up cars and hold up gas stations and have a gang fight once in a while. I don't mean I do things like that. Derry would kill me if I got into trouble with the police. Since Mom and Dad were killed in an auto wreck, the three of us get to stay together as long as we behave. So Soda and I stay out of trouble as much as we can, and we're careful not to get caught when we can't. I only mean that most greasers do things like that. Just like we wear our hair long and dress in blue jeans and t-shirts, or leave our shirt tails out and wear leather jackets and tennis shoes or boots. I'm not saying that either Socs or greasers are better. That's just the way things are. I could have waited to go to the movies until Derry or Soda Pop got off work. They would have gone with me or driven me there or walked along, although Soda just can't sit still long enough to enjoy a movie, and they bore Derry to death. Derry thinks his life is enough without inspecting other people's. Or I could have gotten one of the gang to come along, one of the 4 boys Derry and Soda and I have grown up with and consider family. We're almost as close as brothers. When you grow up in a tight-knit neighborhood like ours, you get to know each other real well. If I had thought about it, I could have called Derry, and he would have come by on his way home and picked me up. Or Two-Bit Matthews, one of our gang, would have come to get me in his car if I asked him. But sometimes I just don't use my head, and it drives my brother Derry nuts when I do stuff like that because I'm supposed to be the smart one. I make good grades, I have a high IQ, and everything, but I don't use my head. Besides, sometimes I like walking. I about decided I didn't like it so much, though, when I spotted that red Corvair trailing me. I was almost 2 blocks from home then, so I started walking a little faster. I'd never been jumped, but I had seen Johnny after 4 Socs got a hold of him, and that wasn't pretty. Johnny was scared of his own shadow after that. Johnny was 16 then. I knew it wasn't any use, though, the fast walking. I mean, even before the Corvair pulled up beside me and 5 Socs got out, I got pretty scared. I'm kind of small for 14, even though I have a good build, and those guys were bigger than me. I automatically hitched my thumbs in my jeans and slouched, wondering if I could get away if I made a break for it. I remembered Johnny, his face all cut up and bruised, and I remembered how he had cried when we found him, half conscious in the corner lot. Johnny had it awful rough at home. It took a lot to make him cry. I was sweating something fierce. Although I was cold, I could feel my palms get clammy and the perspiration running down my back. I get like that when I'm real scared. I glanced around for a pop bottle, a stick, something. Steve Randall, Soda's best buddy, had once held off 4 guys with a busted pop bottle. There was nothing, so I stood there like a bump on a log while they surrounded me. I don't use my head. They walked around slowly, silently, smiling. Hey, Grease, one said in an over-friendly voice, we're going to do you a favor, Greaser. We're going to cut all that long, greasy hair off. He had on a Madras shirt. I can still see it. Blue Madras. One of them laughed and cussed me out in a low voice. I couldn't think of anything to say. There just isn't a whole lot you can say while waiting to get mugged, so I kept my mouth shut. Need a haircut, Greaser? The medium-sized blonde pulled a knife out of his back pocket and flipped the blade open. I finally thought of something to say. No. I was backing up away from that knife, and of course I backed right into one of them. They had me down in a second. They had my arms, my legs pinned down, and one of them was sitting on my chest with his knees on my elbows, and if you don't think that hurts, you're crazy. I could smell English leather, shaving lotion, and stale tobacco, and I wondered foolishly if I would suffocate before they did anything. I was scared so bad, and I was wishing I would. I fought to get loose. I almost did for a second. Then they tightened up on me, and the one on my chest slugged me a couple times, and I lay still, swearing at him between gasps. A blade was held against my throat. Hey, how'd you like that haircut to begin just below the chin? It occurred to me then that they could kill me, and I went wild. I started screaming for soda, dairy, anybody. Someone put his hand over my mouth, and I bit it as hard as I could, tasting the blood running through my teeth. I heard a muttered curse, and I got slugged again, and they were stuffing a handkerchief in my mouth. And one of them kept saying, shut him up, for Pete's sake, shut him up. And then there were shouts and pounding of feet, and all the socias jumped up and left me laying there gasping. And I laid there wondering what in the world was happening. People were jumping over me and running by me, and I was too dazed to figure it out. And then someone had me under the armpits and was hauling me to my feet. It was Derry. Hey, are you all right, Ponyboy? He was shaking me, and I wish he'd stop. I was dizzy enough anyway, and I could tell it was Derry, though, partially because of his voice and partially because Derry always rough with me without meaning to be. I'm okay. Quit shaking me, Derry. I'm okay. And he stopped instantly. I'm sorry.